Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's dive into a story where generosity meets entitlement in the world of second-hand tech sales. Spoiler alert, it involves fake claims, police threats, and a surprising silver lining. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Guy tries to lowball me on a laptop deal. This happened last year. For context, I have a business that requires I use a lot of laptops and computers. So typically, with every new contract, I put in the budget of a brand new system that I only use for the duration of the contract. After about a year, I sell the laptop or computer equipment at usually 50% the cost, or sometimes cheaper depending on to who and what local market is. For students, I usually sell items at 30% the cost because I remember what it was like when I was a student. One day, I put a gaming laptop up for sale. I paid $1,300 for the laptop and decided I would post it for $300 to get rid of it. I would just pull the upgrades and hard drive and replace with a smaller SSD. Immediately, my phone started blowing up with messages. My first question is always, "Are you a student? Because this is what I will only sell to a student for, and if so, can you send me a photo of your student ID?" Guy: "I have an ID and I need this laptop. Why is it so cheap?" Me: "Okay, send me the ID please so I can verify it. I have a business and replace the laptop. I will only sell this price to students to help them out." Guy: "Okay, I will send you an ID. Can you accept $200? I can go pick it up now." Me: "Shoot me the ID, but the price is firm at $300. Only time I'll go lower is if I see the person had to walk to me or take a bus or bike. I just don't tell people that." Guy: "What's your address? I'm on the way with $200. Me: "You haven't sent me the ID and it's $300, not $200. Guy: "I don't want to pay $300. I need money for the weekend. I can be there in 30 minutes. Tell me where to go." Me: "You can go to the store and pay over $1,000 then. No ID, no deal. No less than $300. Guy: "This is a scam. I'm going to call the police and tell them you're selling stolen merchandise." Me: "Call the police. Show them my ad online. Photo of the receipts in the ad." Guy: "F off. Send me the address so we can be done with it." Me: "I'm done with it." He proceeds to send me screenshots of him calling the police on his phone. I ignore it all. I met some cool kids that replied and came over, and I gave it to the guy for $250 after talking to him. Gave him a business receipt and a copy, all the info for my records and taxes and such. He was thrilled and couldn't imagine the deal he had. For a week, I'd get a couple messages thanking me for selling him the laptop. Next week, I'll sell more computer components for desktops and a few cell phones. Can't wait to deal with some greedy people. You're doing something amazing by helping students get great deals, but of course there's always that one person who tries to ruin it. This guy not only tried to haggle after ignoring your student-only policy, but also had the nerve to threaten you with the police for selling your own laptop. The entitlement is wild. Meanwhile, a genuine student got the deal, was thrilled, and even followed up with thank you messages. It's awesome that you stuck to your principles and ended up helping someone who truly deserved it. Entitled guy can keep dreaming. Karma doesn't reward greed. Have you dealt with something like this, guys? And our second story. Customer orders every topping possible on tiny tacos, gets a 2-pound bowl of chaos instead. So this just happened tonight. For more than 21 years, I've worked at that beautiful ding-dong Mexican restaurant. I've witnessed a lot of foolishness in that time, but tonight was quite outstanding. For a few weeks now, we've been serving a chicken sandwich in taco form. People have attempted to add a few items here and there over the years, but the taco sandwich is so little that not much can fit. I've had to decline a few requests for changes since the customer's order wouldn't fit on the taco without making it a mess coated in soggy sauce. Now let's talk about delivery. If the customer wants it, they can have it, is the attitude of corporate. Delivery complies with that instruction, but I don't. I'll do my best to make what the customer wants, but if it doesn't fit or breaks throughout the process, I'll try my best to include a letter explaining why I was unable to fulfill their request. I was unable to work today after putting in 21 hours at 2 different locations yesterday, but even though I wasn't in my typical cheerful attitude, I dutifully reported for my shift. The day was rather boring from the time I signed in until this happened, with the typical grumpy customers and employees, as well as a few individuals who were so happy that it nearly looked sick. A delivery order for 2 chicken sandwich tacos and a few other items arrives at around 10:30. For a typical order, not too awful. This order was anything but typical, though, as the chicken sandwich tacos had every possible item that we use to dress up tacos and burritos. I'm worn out, irritable, and in a mood by now, and I made the decision that enough was enough. I put the 2 3.5-inch flatbread slices in a basin. I covered the now-soaked flatbread with the 4 sauces, plus extra of the one he requested, followed by the cheese, red sauce, chicken, steak, rice, beef, beans, black beans, lettuce, tomato, more cheese, more cheddar cheese, guacamole, and jalapenos. I placed one of the tiniest pieces of chicken we had fried on top of this saucy, gelatinous mass. The bowl weighed at least 2 pounds instead of the typical 5.3 ounces, so I put a lid on it, sealed it, put the name on the bag, and sent it off. We received a call from the consumer asking for a refund because her order was nothing like she expected less than an hour later. She received the food exactly as she'd ordered, so I informed her that there would be no chance for a return. She hung up on me right away. Knowing that the customer most likely tossed them away in an attempt to be special made me smile from ear to ear. You are, honey, but not for the reason you believe. You did everything the customer asked for, literally everything, and gave them exactly what they ordered, even if it defied all logic. Honestly, your patience is commendable. After a 21-hour day, I don't think many people would have been as meticulous in building such a chaotic masterpiece. The fact that they called to complain when they got exactly what they requested is both hilarious and predictable. Some customers just want to push limits, then act shocked when reality slaps them in the face. I'd love to see their reaction when they open that 2-pound taco nightmare. Honestly, your approach is top-level malicious compliance. And our last story. Karen tried to steal my house. I had a second house that I decided to rent out about a year ago. It's a cozy little home, perfect for a small family, so when a woman, let's call her Karen, approached me to rent it for herself and her 2 kids, I thought it would be a great fit. At first, everything seemed fine. For the first few days, she kept to herself and her kids seemed sweet. Then the complaints started rolling in. The neighbors began calling me about late-night screaming matches, music blaring at all hours, and her kids running around unsupervised, breaking garden ornaments, and throwing trash onto other people's lawns. I was mortified and furious. But I didn't want to lose a tenant so early. I decided to give Karen another chance after a stern talk about respecting the neighborhood. Big mistake. A week later, rent day rolled around and Karen didn't have the money. Her excuse? She'd blown it all at the casino. I was stunned, but still tried to be understanding. Maybe it was a one-time mistake, I thought. Being the nice landlord I am, I forgave her and gave her more time to pay. Then the second month came. Same story, only this time I learned from a neighbor that Karen was selling her welfare cards for cash and blowing it on cigarettes and more gambling. My patience was wearing thin. I confronted her, and she promised it wouldn't happen again. I foolishly gave her yet another chance. She still didn't pay the rent, and this time she completely lost her temper. She smashed the front door in a rage when yelling at her kids and even stopped answering my calls. That was it. I sent her a 2-week eviction notice and told her in no uncertain terms that she needed to leave. Karen didn't take it well. She bombarded me with angry calls and texts, calling me heartless and accusing me of ruining her life. "Where will I go with my 2 kids?" she cried. But my sympathy had run dry. She'd taken advantage of my kindness, trashed my property, and refused to own up to her mistakes. The 2 weeks came and went, and Karen still hadn't left. Instead, she continued to squat in the house. I sent her another 3-day notice, this time warning her that if she didn't leave, I would fine her $1,000 in overdue rent, plus an additional $400 for the damages to the home. Cue the next level of Karen insanity. She called the police on me, claiming I'd broken into her house and was threatening her. Thankfully, one of the officers who showed up was a longtime friend of mine and knew my family well. After a brief explanation, he completely shut Karen down, telling her that as the property owner, I had every right to evict her after proper notice. He even warned her that if she didn't leave, she could be forcibly removed in cuffs. Karen seemed to back off, promising to leave within the 3 days. I thought the nightmare was finally over. It wasn't. The next day, she was back to harassing me, banging on my door and accusing me of abusing her and her kids. She even accused me of threatening her innocent family when all I'd done was try to collect what she owed. I finally hit my breaking point. With my husband's help, I gathered Karen's belongings, bagged them up, and tossed them out by her car. I left the eviction notice pinned to her stuff for good measure. When Karen saw what we'd done, she lost it. She screamed at us in the street, calling us thieves and liars, and even tried to hit me. My husband stepped in and stopped her just in time. After a heated argument, Karen finally grabbed her stuff, shoved it into her car, and left. As she drove away, she flipped us off, sobbing dramatically. But of course she wasn't done. A few hours later, she took to Facebook and posted a ridiculous rant about how we'd unjustly evicted her with no notice, stole her belongings, and ruined her life. Thankfully, most of the people who knew us also knew her reputation and saw through her lies. Still, the post was infuriating. Once Karen was finally gone, we inspected the house. The damage was worse than we thought. Broken doors, holes in the walls, cigarette burns on the carpet, and the kitchen was filthy. We ended up paying hundreds to fix everything, but we weren't going to let her get away with it. We filed a lawsuit to recover the damages, and we're prepared to see it through. Let's just say the day Karen finally drove away was the biggest relief we felt in years. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Karen turned what could have been a mutually beneficial arrangement into a full-blown nightmare. First off, props to you for even giving her multiple chances when the red flags were waving like it was a carnival. I mean, blowing rent money on gambling after 1 week? That's like Karen 101 behavior. She couldn't just leave quietly. Oh no, she had to launch a smear campaign. Classic deflection tactics. Honestly, I admire your patience, but once she started smashing doors and squatting, that's where even Gandhi might have drawn the line. Tossing her stuff out was the ultimate mic drop. Let's just hope the lawsuit's the final nail in the Karen coffin. Would you have tolerated her antics for as long as OP did? Or would you have nipped this circus in the bud earlier? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.